Have you ever wondered how your psychology is affected by the video games that you play? Have you ever thought, maybe this is making me better at something that I'm doing in life, or maybe this is making me really worse at something that I do in life? Well, I've wondered this question a lot. In fact, the area that I study in school is neuropsychology, and I've always wondered about how the video games affect what we do. And I decided to go through and compile a variety of studies together and pick a specific game or concept to look at the psychology behind that game or concept. In this case, we're going to be looking at the psychology behind Heroes of the Storm. Heroes of the Storm is a multiplayer online battle arena that has several maps with unique objectives. You need to use spatial awareness and critical thinking to devise a plan in order to come out ahead. It is a talent system that allows you to choose the way your hero plays, and it takes creativity and logic to determine the best talents for every situation. As a real-time strategy game, it allows you to improve your cognitive capacity by handling complex tasks quickly and efficiently. You learn new sets of rules often, allowing you to increase your abstract thinking and neuroplasticity. Subconsciously, you're learning the enemy movements and ability patterns, remembering locations and timers, as well as searching for important information while filtering out heaps of useless information. Without you knowing it, you're actually becoming smarter while playing the game. A study done by Glass, Maddox, and Love showed that people playing RTS games compared to lifestyle games like The Sims noticed huge cognitive improvements after playing these games, including nearly 300% improvement in the digit span test, which is a test that essentially makes it to where you look at a span of digits, they give you another test, and then after that test they ask you to recall the digits that were initially given. A 300% improvement is incredible. A 25% increase in attention, and a significant increase in visual search and information filtering. This is essentially all of the information you are seeing and grabbing out only the important pieces while filtering out all of the non-important pieces. Most of this is handled subconsciously. A study done by Dr. Basak found that the real-time strategy game significantly increased your ability to complete cognitive tasks while also giving such an increase in working memory. He recommended real-time strategy games as a preventative treatment for Alzheimer's disease. Which brings me back to Heroes of the Storm. We have done a study recently, or a survey, and this survey asked a variety of demographic and just simply interesting questions. We ended up getting 2,057 responses, which is phenomenal, and a round of applause to all of you guys who participated. And so we're going to go through first, and we're going to talk about the results of this, and then I will show you the connections. For example, are men more likely to play assassins? Are women more likely to play supports? We'll see this throughout the video. To start off, we had a pretty not surprising male-dominated game with an 89.5% male, 8.4% on female. In terms of hours played, we actually had a decent amount lower than I expected, with the majority of the people playing 20 hours or fewer. Into the Team League rank, we have a variety of ranks, with seeing that Silver, Gold, plus Platinum covers almost half of the player base, while Unranked is about 30% of the player base. Followed by the main role, we have Damage, which is dominating the entire area, as well as Healers and Tanks that are the next up on the list, showing that Specialists and Solo Laners are the lowest. Yes, this is not necessarily the role system that Blizzard has there, but you can still tell the roles. I did this a little bit before those patches. I then asked, do you feel you have an addictive personality? And I will actually go over all of this information in the correlation or connected part. And then I asked some other questions related to addiction, including tilt and loot boxes, which I will be doing an entire psychology behind loot boxes video soon, so stay tuned for that. In terms of Big Five, I simply asked people to answer in their eyes where they stood on this, as I didn't want to take the time out of everyone's busy schedule for them to do a Big Five personality test before doing this, so it was pretty interesting, a little different from what the population stats are, but that could also be because we are a sample of gamers compared to the population. person. The majority of people play in North America with 53.2% and 42.2% in Europe, followed by an other option that people decided to answer with all sorts of stuff, including Jamaica, Oceanic, Australia 7 different ways, as well as Brazil in 7 different ways and several different spellings. Age, we have the majority of the people between the ages of 19 and 35. I think that's a surprise to no one, with a decent amount that are sitting between 0 and 18 and 35 and plus. When asked how competitive are you, we had a rather decent sized competitive scene, which, I mean, as people playing a competitive game, I would imagine we would have a higher competitive population, so that does end up making sense. How much research do you put into new games? Once again, we had a decent chunk researching new games as they played them, which is pretty cool to see that people will do this research. As a educational YouTuber, I like to see people go out and actually start learning the games as they begin playing them. And then Belvin Team Roles Index, which is just fascinating. Decided to see where everyone stood, and the majority of people were under the team worker, which is essentially people that are willing to fill in and they're flexible to many different roles. When looking at Heroes of the Storm, there's actually a decent gender disparity when it comes to some of the roles, and it is rather fascinating. Just remember, guys, that causation is not equal to correlation. Just because there is a correlation doesn't mean this is the cause of it. There's likely third and social factors that are included as well. So as we get into this, men are more likely to be main tanks, more likely to be main solo lane, more likely to get tilted. They're higher in extroversion, more competitive, and they do more research done in games. They're also more likely to be a monitor in the Belvin Team Roles Index. Women, on the other hand, are more likely to be main healers, more likely to main damage. They're higher in agreeableness and higher in neuroticism, as well as they're more likely to be a plant or a specialist in the Belvin Team Roles Index. On to the high rank players versus everyone else, including those who don't play ranked. We have the Grandmaster, Master, and Diamond players. They play 25% more often. They play as damage mains more often. They're more likely to be monitors, and they self-report 20% more competitively than everyone else. Not to mention 33% more likely to stay up later than they want to end on a win. Which brings me to the addiction side of this. I asked people if they felt like they had an addictive personality, and those who said yes to having an addictive personality play 20% more, are 35% more likely to stay up later than they want to end on a win, and they are 21% more likely to get tilted. They have higher neuroticism, as well as they are more competitive, and they put a staggering amount more research into the game than the ones that don't, which was all very fascinating. While there was so much more I wanted to go over, I did want to keep this video short, sweet, and get a lot of interesting information in it. But if you did enjoy this video, there's a few things that you can do for me. The first is to subscribe and hit the bell. I know this is kind of just a generic YouTuber thing to ask for, but particularly for people that are switching from games to game to game, it can be a little bit difficult for the YouTube algorithm because it likely wants to share content that's similar. So if I do a video about Heroes of the Storm, yet you want to see content for a variety of games, and I want to do psychology behind a variety of games, then YouTube won't ever send you the rest of my videos. So if you did enjoy this and you'd like to see more videos on the psychology behind, make sure to click subscribe and hit that bell to be notified whenever I bring out new videos. Let me know what game or concept you want next. I would like to be going through and doing a psychology behind for a lot of games, but I want to find the games that you guys actually want to know more about. Same with concepts. There's a concept called the left-handed fencer, which I've been wanting to do a video on, talking about the psychology behind this concept of the left-handed fencer. And finally, share this with friends. If you thought this was interesting, your friends might think this is interesting too. I put a lot of effort into the research that I did here, looking up all of these studies, as well as running this survey. And you can find all of the survey results down below. I will include infographics for the comparisons that I used, which I used correlation program to find those comparisons, as well as I will be putting all of the research down below as well. So thank you guys all for watching. Let me know what you thought about this video in the comments below, and feel free to watch any of my other videos.